Oh my god, both of Claire's parents, Julia and Henry, were time travelers, and Julia was the kind of mother who went back in time to make sure her daughter would meet the love of her life. The new Outlander prequel, Blood of My Blood trailer, gave me chills. There were so many shocking scenes, mainly because we didn't know whether Claire's parents would time travel into the past, but now we know. Still, a lot of questions remain. Did this happen before or after Claire was born? Some of you may remember what Claire mentioned in season 7. She said her parents had died in a car accident when she was 5. And believe it or not, we do see a car accident happening in the trailer, but the parents are still alive. The series is already taking a different approach from the books. It's uncharted territory now. We can't rely on what happened in the books because there's no story about Julia and Henry there. We have to guess and theorize, and it's already so exciting. Let's do a trailer breakdown and try to figure out what's going on, who's where, what's happening. Let's see, guys. It may sound or look confusing at first, but I think what we see in the first few scenes of the trailer is pretty much chronological. We see Henry fighting in World War I, right? The Great War. Then we see his return. There are also scenes of him during the war, with Julia sending him letters. That's actually how they meet, by the way. Julia is working at a postal censorship office, and Henry is a lonely soldier at war, sending random letters, hoping someone will read them. And Julia does. She sends letters back, and they fall in love through this letter exchange. They meet face to face for the first time after the war when Henry returns. It's such an interesting way to introduce these characters. They fall in love, they get married, and they have Claire. We even see baby Claire for the first time. Incredible. To me, it looks like, although I'm not sure, they have Claire and then the car accident happens. That accident somehow takes Julia to the past because they end up near the stones and she time travels to 1714. This is the part where the books don't help us. In the books, we know Julia and Henry died when Claire was 5 and she was raised by her uncle Lamb. But the show is taking a new approach. It's saying that Julia and Henry probably didn't die, but actually time traveled to the past. Julia accidentally and Henry deliberately to find her. So Claire was left in the 20th century. This opens up so many new questions though. Why didn't they return for their daughter? Another possibility is that they time travel before Claire is born, spend maybe 1 or 2 years in the past, and then return to the future to have Claire, only to die in a car accident a few years later. But that doesn't quite make sense to me. We'll see. The trailer, of course, also introduces us to Jamie's parents who aren't married yet. As the trailer shows, Ellen is actually promised to another guy and Brian is part of a rival family. You saw Ellen's face when Brian told her he was Brian Fraser, right? She knew her family would never allow her to be with someone from the Fraser clan. And it looks like we're gonna see why these families hate each other in a flashback scene. It was black and white, so I figured it was a flashback explaining why these two families are against marrying each other. Then we see Henry looking for Julia around the stones while Julia has already met Ellen and they've become friends. They literally give each other love advice. I never thought we'd see this in the show. I mean, can you imagine Jamie and Claire's parents being friends? That's wild. Do you recognize these two? They're Colum and Dougal Mackenzie. And this man looks so much like Myrta. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it, but timeline-wise, it's impossible. It's probably young Dougal. Someone else, let me know your theories in the comments. This scene is also quite interesting. The voice sounds like Julia's. She says, if you don't go to him, you'll regret it forever. So she's advising Ellen to go to Brian. But in the scene, it's Ellen helping Julia get out of the house. So Ellen knows Julia is looking for Henry and she's helping her find him. We get more scenes of Ellen and Brian and Myrta is jealous. As we know from the original Outlander series, Myrta was actually in love with Ellen. So this will be interesting to watch. We're also shown scenes where Ellen joins hands with Malcolm Grant. the guy we heard about in the flagship series. These scenes are set during the Beltane Festival, the Gaelic May Day festival, where huge bonfires are kindled, as you'll see later in the trailer. And doesn't Ellen look gorgeous in that dress? She's promised to someone else, but obviously is in love with Brian. Her family clearly doesn't want her with him. We see Dougal hitting Brian in one scene. We also have more shots of Julia from the past. Then I think this is Henry in the past too, because his clothing doesn't look like 20th century clothes to me. And he's on a horse, come on. He's in the past looking for Julia. Ellen's crying. I'm not sure what scene this is from, but it probably has to do with her arranged marriage. Then we see war scenes from both the 18th and 20th centuries. We know the 18th century storyline will show us the Jacobite Rising of 1715, which is exciting. There's a gathering with British soldiers present, and Ellen is caught up in the chaos. I don't know what the hell she's doing there. There are battle scenes in the forest with these scary looking men, and then there's this interesting scene. Two 18th century men have taken Henry hostage. They probably mistook him for a British official or something. I think that character is Henry, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Brian is ready to get Ellen. That's what this scene feels like to me. More battle scenes. It looks like before the time travel happens, Julia is also impacted by the Great War. Then some hot scenes with Ellen and Brian, shots of Henry looking for Julia, Brian with his sword, and then there's Dougal. His character will be crazy, I can tell. More shots of Julia and Henry writing to each other during the war, and then a scene that confirms Henry is in the past. He's talking to Ned Gowan, the same Ned Gowan whose older version we saw in Outlander. He's the Mackenzie's family lawyer. So Henry did find the right people and is searching for Julia. Wow. Another interesting scene, a woman wearing a headband who I think is Julia is riding alongside Brian Fraser. Why do I think it's Julia? Because in a following close-up shot, Julia is wearing that same headband. So I think Brian helps her go to the stones or find Henry. In that close-up shot, a hand is holding Julia's face, and from her reaction, it has to be Henry, right? So they do find each other in the end. Thank God, if my predictions are correct, if I'm reading this right. Then we have quick shots of Henry crying in the past. I think he's wearing 18th century clothes. Brian and Myrta are also involved in the Rising. Then there is a shot of Henry probably before the time travel where he's running toward Julia. This is probably where they meet for the first time. Then this incredible shot of Beltane Festival. Henry again fighting someone in the past, probably trying to escape or defeat his captors. We see masked people during the Great War, and then another masked figure dancing during the festival. This will be mystical. The trailer ends with an incredible shot of Brian and Ellen kissing. I mean, we know how the story ends. Brian and Ellen eloped and have their children, including Jamie and Jenny, so we know the destination, but how do they get there? And how do Julia and Henry play a role in this love story? Like I said at the beginning, we don't know anything about Julia and Henry. Their storylines were created for this show, which makes it all more fun and unexpected, full of twists and turns. I love that there's no source material to rely on. That's so new for the Outlander universe. Also, we have to talk about Julia and Henry. Do they remain in the past? Do they have Claire before they travel to the past and then Claire stays in the future? Or do they return to the future, have Claire, and then die in that car accident? Because I realized some of the clothes they're wearing, or like the length of Julia's hair, are not the same in the car crash scene and the time travel scene. Maybe I'm reaching, maybe it's just different lighting, but if they remain in the past, it doesn't really make sense why they wouldn't return for their daughter. What do you think? Do they remain in the past? Do they go back and die there? What do you think happens? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to learn more about Outlander Season 8, check out this video.